Welcome to the weekend edition of the Nightly Nuge. Ted, I've had really maybe my favorite week doing the Nightly Nuge with you. I mean, your take this week on the state of America has been incredible. I just listened in awe when you went through the list of all of the problems that America has, the problems that we have with some of our deep state politicians. I really enjoyed yesterday when you were talking about music, which of course I always do. But you and I talked yesterday after we got out of the studio, and quite frankly, you believe that there is a solution, that good can beat evil. And you know what, Ted, you believe that the solution centers right on our fellow American hunters. Why don't you expand on that for our listeners?
I've been a hunter all my life. I was raised in a hunting family since birth in 1948. We're going north for deer season. It was a tradition, a family annual. And it fortified my spirit. It taught me about my responsibility to Mother Nature, my responsibility as a conscientious participating steward of God's miraculous renewable creation. And it has literally cleansed my soul forever. And I've shared a lot of hunting camps. I would venture to say, Keith, that the old guitar player has shared more hunting campfires with more hunters than maybe anybody, because I know there's professional guides and outfitters. I have a bunch of professional hunters in Africa who spend their annual season with clients. But I do every weekend for the last 30 some years. My hunts are sold out. If people want to find out, of course, they're all sold out this year, but Sunrise Safaris I created to teach rock and rollers who were interested in my piss and vinegar, my musical energy level, that I related to the spirit of the wild. And what we've done, what Shemaine and I have done with the Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild show on Pursuit Network 8 times a week, is to educate people who might want to check out what the old guitar player is doing and how the mystical flight of the arrow, that quiet soul-cleansing time in a tree stand or a duck blind, that taking that terminally ill kid on his last hunting or fishing request, it fortifies the spirit to just huge, huge capabilities. I've also discovered the heartbreak that of these tens of thousands of hunters I've shared campfires with, that many of them, I'm not into politics. Oh, dear God in heaven. That's why you got a $150 fine for not having your bow case zipped up. That's why you lost your hunting license because you relocated apples for your daughter's deer stand. The regulations are bizarre because you're not into politics, and people who will abuse that power will walk all over you. My point being is that you created the tip of the spear to take America back. It's called Hunter Nation. HunterNation.org is where we circle the conservative wagons, because the hunters are all about work ethic, God, family, country, Constitution, Bill of Rights, 10 Commandments, Golden Rule, individual responsibility, law and order. That's the battle cry of the average hunting families of America, and they have not been a force to reckon with when it comes to voting. We can take this country back if just the licensed hunting families were galvanized and prodded and encouraged to vote and get their fellow hunters to vote and to influence their family and friends at church and school, the workplace, around the campfire, in their everyday walk of life, to come to HunterNation.org. And we're going to use the legal maneuvers. We're going to harvest ballots from our fellow conservatives. We're going to put boots on the ground all across this country. And we're going to beat Satan at his Democrat liberal Joe Biden scourge against freedom and individual rights in America. It's really, the heartbreak is not because the enemy is winning, it's because the conservatives accept losing. Don't let them win anymore. We can win this just by circling the conservative wagons of the licensed huntings. It's a huge voting army. The licensed hunting families of America. HunterNation.org literally could spell victory. In every state, there's enough licensed hunters in every state who heretofore have not been a voting force to reckon with. If we can galvanize them and go around the country and put on performances and events to recruit them, like Don Pay has done in Utah, Utah will get the hunting regulations based on sound science because Don Pay has created an annual event where the politicians pay attention to the hunters because they vote. That's what we're going to do nationwide at hunternation.org, and we hope more and more people will join us.
You know what, Ted, you raised such a great point. If you look at, people call them swing states, I call them key hunting states. If you look at from the presidential election down, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, if you look at just those states alone, if the licensed hunters that did not vote had gone to the polls in 2020,
yes,
regardless of the claims of fraud or so on and so forth, if just the licensed hunters that didn't vote had went and cast a vote, all of those states would be cast in a different light.
The proof is irrefutable. The enemy isn't winning. The conservatives are accepting losing. And if we can just prod, inspire, motivate the licensed hunters of America to take back this country, it would be the most important conservative vote. We won't even tell them who to vote for because we know what their moral values are. We know what their foundational family values are, those of our founding fathers, those of the original American dream. That's really what the hunting families of this country represent. And if we can get more and more people involved, we're looking for donations, we're looking for people to get boots on the ground. Go to hunternation.org, and we could win in every state, even states that you think that don't matter. There's not enough hunters in Connecticut and Rhode Island. Believe me, there are. In every state, we have enough licensed hunters that if they were to vote, we would win all those margins that we lost by in the past. Plus, we have to make sure that we take advantage of all legal voting maneuvers and considerations, because hunternation.org is a nonprofit, and we don't recommend any candidates or parties. We recommend that people get out and exercise their number one responsibility in America, and that is to vote for the foundational values that made this country great. Because right now we are in a toilet flush because good conservatives did not vote in meaningful numbers.
Well, Ted, I think that pretty much sums up the week. If good shows up and votes, I do believe, like you do, Ted, we can defeat evil. HunterNation.org. Ted, what a great week I've had with you. Really enjoyed it. Look forward to next week. I'm sure there's going to be enough out there that goes wrong that you and I are going to want to talk about. But Ted, you know what? Again, on behalf of all the listeners of the Nightly Nuge and all those that watch Spirit of the Wild on the Pursuit channel, all those that have been listening and enjoying your music for all these years, thank you for being the voice for all of us, Ted Nugent.
I think it's my job. It's my responsibility as an American. We're the only society that has the God-given clear right of self-government, and we have to start participating. Thank you, Keith. We have a great, great team here, and Truth, Logic, and Common Sense is so good for you. Thank you, everybody out there on the Nightly News, and thank you, Tim and everybody. We're going to keep this going because America is worth it.